When I first started training, I was about 8 years young. And the person who was my motivation, the person I looked up to when I was a child, was my cousin. His name was Michael Clifton. He played football and he was in college. And my family used to say all these marvelous things about him, how well he was doing in college, how good he was at sports, and he had these big muscles. So when I looked at him, first of all, I liked what I was hearing about my cousin, and then when I looked at him, I said, wow, I said it to myself, man, I want big muscles like him one day. So that became my inspiration. That became my drive at a very early age, and I wanted to have big muscles just like my cousin Michael. So what I started doing, because I grew up on a farm, I didn't know anything about a gym, didn't know what a gym looked like, didn't even know what weights looked like. What I did was I just started doing push-ups and sit-ups, and back then I called them knee bends, better known as squats. I did whatever and dips. So I used whatever I had available to me, like my benches, old children's swing sets, and tables, and the dirt ground, and whatever I could find to do something, to exercise, make me feel like I was doing something. So I did that every single day, and I would push to the point where I felt my muscles burning. So I knew if they was burning, something was happening, something good was happening. And I just kept doing that every single day, till eventually I started seeing results in my body, changes in my body, changes in my strength, because growing up on the farm, there's always something to do. My grandparents had cows, they had pigs, chickens, goats, and later on they had horses and planted crops like watermelon, cantaloupes, peanuts in one form. My grandmother had a large garden. We also had planted cucumbers. So there was always something to do. You had to rake the yard, sweep the yard, these homemade broom my grandmother used to make. And you got to water the cows, water the animals, feed the animals. And every single season, even during the summer, you had to go out there and pick watermelons or pick cucumbers or do something to stay active. So we never lived an idle life living on the farm. Grandma made sure of that. We made sure we got up early, got some good breakfast, got something to eat, and then we, if it was the weekend, we had to work. We had chores to do. We had things to do. So growing up on the farm, I had to use my imagination. I used my imagination to design my own weight sets. Something, if it was heavy, I wanted to lift it. I had to lift it. And I would lift it above my head 5 times, 10 times, many times as I could, until I felt like I was doing something. So I felt my body was changing. I did that for years. And then when I was 16 years young, my mother, because she knew I had such a love for exercise, she bought me my first weight set. It was that old, some of y'all might even know what I'm talking about. It was a weight set that was made from cement, concrete weight set. This gray, the dumbbells were gray, the bars was gray, weighed about 50 pounds total altogether. So she bought me my first weight set. And then at this point, I found my eyes was programmed or conditioned to look for things to help me assist in my bodybuilding at a very young age, very young season in my life. So I saw something that looked like a bench. It was a homemade, put together bench. Had no coverings, had just a board tied on, or strapped onto some metal, and these two things that looked like it would be able to hold the barbell. So I brought that up. Now, I forgot where I found it, but I brought it back to my house, and I put it out in the front yard, and that became my bench. And whatever I could find around my grandparents' house. My grandfather had an old wagon wheel axle. Like from the Western movies back in the day. So I found that it was rusted, and I said, well, no, Granddaddy don't need this. And Granddaddy knew that I was into my fitness, so he allowed me. He let me have it. No, he didn't say anything about it when he saw me move it. I rolled it all the way up from my grandparents' house to where I live. Now, I want you to understand this. We live down something called the dirt road. So we lived in one part, and down the dirt road was my grandparents' house. And distance-wise, I would say it was probably about the length of a football field, or maybe a little bit more than the length of a football field. So I had to walk from my grandparents' house to my house. So I rolled this wagon wheel axle all the way from my grandparents' house to my house and put it in my front yard. So I cleaned it. Granddaddy, he don't need this. So I cleaned it, and now that became my barbells. And every single day, I'll go outside, come home from school, and I'm out there lifting this thing up. Now, I weighed about 110 pounds, and I was 16 years young at the time. Probably weighed about maybe maybe 140, 150 something at that time. So I'm picking this thing up, I'm putting it on top of the bench, and this became part of my everyday training. So I've been training since I was a very, very young child, 8 years young. And it was something that took root in me at a very young age, and it stuck with me all my life so far, for decades and decades. And now it's become not only a love or a passion of mine, but now it's my lifestyle. And I use this lifestyle to help other people transform their bodies. So I can tell you how the body works specifically. Even before I became a certified trainer, I knew exactly what muscles, what motions or to do to build the body, and I could tell you what to expect to feel inside your body. So it's always been a passion of mine to train, to exercise, keep my body healthy and fit. It's like, imagine this for a second. If I go without training for a while, and that's happened at different periods in my life. I went through a long, extended period of my life where for 1 year, I had done nothing at all. I kind of let myself go, and looking back at it, when I finally got back into the swing of things, I look back at it, wow, I didn't even recognize myself. It was 10 years later that I look back at a picture of me when I was 10 years younger, and it looked like I was 10 years older. And it blew me away. And from that point, I made a verbal or conscious decision to never, ever let myself be in that state again. Because when you're not training for a while and you get back into the swing of things, it's like Superman get hit with kryptonite. Superman has never known what it feels like to be weak, to be a weakling, to be in pain, to be hurt. When you've been accustomed to training your body for an extended period of time, all you know is strength. All you know is fitness. All you know is just being healthy, being able to do certain things with ease without giving it a second thought. But when you don't exercise for a while, a month, 2 months, and for a year, and then you go back and do something that mentally should be pretty simple to you, it's pretty easy for you, and you're not able to do that, or it's a struggle, and you feel a certain way after, it's like, oh my God, what happened? It's a wake-up call. It's a wake-up call because this shouldn't be this hard. I shouldn't feel this way. What happened? Son, daughter, you just got hit with some kryptonite. And now it's time for you to reverse that. It's a wake-up call to bring you back to where you should be, to where you were before. So once you experience something like that, it's a shock. So it shocked me and it woke me up, and I kept moving ever since that point. So I've been training since 8 years young, and I've been living on the planet for 51 years so far. And I'm continuing to get stronger and stronger and stronger every single day. I say all that to say this. It doesn't matter where you are right now, what you've been through, or what you've gone through. It's important that you take care of your body, take care of your temple, because this is all you have to live in. All you have to reside in is this flesh and blood body. You house the Spirit of God inside of you, something that's powerful. He made you in His own image, in His own likeness. You have the ability to do whatever you put your mind to. All things are possible. There's 2 scriptures in the Bible. For some of you who might believe in God, may not believe in God, but I just want to share this with you. There's 2 scriptures in the Bible. One scripture says, I'm going to paraphrase this, so it won't be word for word as it's written out scripturally in the Bible, but for those of you who know the scripture, heard the scripture, know exactly what I'm talking about. There's one scripture that says, with God, all things are possible. And there's another scripture that says, all things are possible to him who believes. It actually says, to he who believes. So the one scripture says, with God, all things are possible. With the Almighty Father in heaven, all things are possible. Nothing's outside of His reach. Then on another side, the other scripture says, all things are possible to he who believes, to him who believes. That means all things are possible to us if you believe it. It is possible for you. Because you are created in the likeness and the image of God the Father, who resides in you. So therefore, you are powerful beyond belief. And many of us are operating beneath our power, beneath our strength, beneath our abilities. And we're settling for less. We're settling for a lifestyle that's well beneath us, when we should be going for all things that are possible because we believe it. Whatever you put your mind to, you can have. See, we tell our children, son, daughter, you can do whatever you put your mind to. You can do anything. Anything you put your mind to, you can do. But then we walk the walk that we don't talk. And what we don't talk is we don't tie that in with us as well, just like we do with our children. We tell our children, oh, you can do whatever you put your mind to, but we don't really believe that deep down inside ourselves, because we are hit with obstacles, with challenges, with things that pop up inside our life, inside our world, and make us doubtful, make us doubt ourselves, and make us operate beneath our abilities, beneath our power, beneath our God-given strengths and abilities and talents. So now it's time for you to dig deep inside, pull that out of you which you were birthed with. You were birthed here to be great. You were birthed here to be powerful, because you are powerful. It's time to wake up and shake up and live that life, walk in that power, walk in that strength that you were born with. All things are possible to him who believes. All things are possible to she who believes. All things are possible to you. You just have to believe it. And when you believe it, you walk in it. You resonate with it. It becomes who you are. When you walk in power, people feel it. People see it. People sense it. You don't have to say a word. People can sense and feel that energy coming off you, because you're walking in power. You're walking in authority. You're not being mean, not being nasty, not being cocky. You're just walking in who you are. Authority. I read somewhere that they said when Jesus Christ was in the area, his aura was so powerful you could feel it 30 feet away from you. You could feel the presence of him coming into the building at a distance of 30 feet away, because of that energy he gave off, that power he gave off. He was walking in his authority, and you have the same authority as Jesus Christ. He said, these things you shall do and more than I do. That's power. That's authority. He's giving you authority over all things. So it's time to wake up, shake up, and walk in your power. 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 You are born great. Keep it moving.